Okay, Scott, I'll do that. So I received this email from the Dean of the Faculty of Science, and it is copied to the head of school. That's the man who first wrote that letter that told me I was under investigation. And that when my lawyer looked at the letter, he said, well, it can be argued that this letter is a constructive dismissal. So since then, I've asked what were the results of the investigation, and it's been quite a few weeks. So today I got the response from the dean. So I'm going to read the letter. And it says, Dear Claudia, as you are aware, your so-called white papers on the alleged existence of a brown dwarf in the inner solar system have created considerable discussion on social media. Some feel that this contention, for which there is no unequivocal evidence, constitutes bad science and could be damaging to the reputation of the university, and that you should be censored. So there's the word censored.
I can't believe that this man used that word. And he spelled it wrong.
Yes, he did. It's spelled Censured. Okay, so then he continues. The matter was discussed by a group of 5 academics appointed by the Vice Chancellor. Now, the Vice Chancellor is the head of the university. He's right at the top. The recommendations of this group, which the Vice Chancellor has accepted, are as follows. The committee recommends to the Vice Chancellor that no disciplinary action be taken against Dr. Elbers at this stage. The statement given at the end of this report be sent to all who have communicated with the university, complaining or questioning Dr. Elbers' views, and that the statement be sent in response to all future communications received in this regard. Dr. Elbers may not teach these unsubstantiated views to her classes and must adhere to the curriculum as drawn up by the School of Physics and approved by the Board of the Faculty of Science. Should Dr. Elbers teach these views or in any way allude to them during the teaching of her courses, disciplinary action will be taken against her. Although she has not used a WITS affiliation in her so-called white papers, the links between her opinions and a WITS position are virtually unavoidable and therefore damage the reputation of the university. She may not use a WITS affiliation in any future writings which are not submitted to established peer-reviewed conferences and journals. Dr. Elbers be informed of these recommendations in writing and in a meeting with the head of school and the dean. I am therefore informing you in writing of these recommendations and the Vice Chancellor's decision to implement them. When you come back to work, I would like to meet with you and Professor, I won't mention his name, to answer, that's the head of school, to answer any questions that you might have on this matter. The statement that will be sent to those who have identified themselves to the university and have asked for the university's views on the matter is as follows. The University of the Witwatersrand, Johannesburg, has recently become aware of various public assertions purporting to suggest that there may be a brown dwarf star in the inner solar system. These comments appear to be the subject of much debate on social media platforms and are attributed to Dr. Elbers, a lecturer in the School of Physics. The essence of the claim is that this brown dwarf is drawing the energy out of the sun. The university supports the freedom of people to hold and discuss contrarian views. In fact, the debate of conflicting views is at the heart of scholarship and constitutes healthy debate. However, insofar as the sciences are concerned, the principles of the scientific method must guide the process. The ultimate test of any hypothesis must be its exposure to experimentation. Only those that have stood the test of peer review can be held up as truths. Again, you see, Scott, the peer review system, the gatekeepers, that's what they use to stop the information from coming out.
Exactly.
Debate outside this framework constitutes bad science, and the university distances itself from such practice. The university also wishes to affirm that the curriculum that shapes the teaching of physics at the university is set by the School of Physics and endorsed by the quality assurance mechanisms of the university. All academic staff members are required to teach students within the framework of this curriculum. Yours sincerely, HMM, I won't say his name, Dean, Faculty of Science.
Boy, he's a real piece of crap. So were you surprised whenever you received this response?
To tell you the truth, Scott, I'm surprised they haven't fired me yet.
Well, the termination that we spoke of a few weeks ago, I mean, that was basically in the process of this termination. They just basically, as we found out, just couldn't say, hey, listen, you're out of here, but the lecturing has stopped. You haven't lectured, and basically you haven't really been at the university at all while this whole process, goes. Well, basically, let me restate that. Going through the process, and this is what they were planning, and I would say they were probably just, kind of dotting their I's and crossing their T's and making sure that on their end, from a legal standpoint, they don't violate your rights.
Not all liars are alike. Some people lie, but their lies are not caused by a serious mental illness. Conversely, psychopaths lie habitually, and their vice is a part of a personality disorder that makes them cold-hearted and have no conscience. How can you tell if the liar you know is a psychopath? Here are some telltale signs. 1. Psychopaths lie extremely frequently. Many people tell a white lie once in a while to spare someone's feelings. Psychopaths lie pathologically about anything and everything. Deception is an integral part of their disorder. 2. Psychopaths' lies are driven by multiple motives. Ruthless, powerful dictators like Stalin and Hitler were psychopaths. They lie as a means of manipulation to exercise dominance over others. These individuals also lie to cover up their misdeeds and illegal activities. Characteristically, they tell the ultimate lie, "I love you." 3. Psychopaths have a convincing manner. Lying seems to be as effortless as breathing for a psychopath. Since they lack empathy, they can lie while looking people in the eye and be very convincing. Because they're skilled actors and don't feel shame, they can give the impression of being guiltless. 4. Psychopaths play on people's sympathies. They play upon the natural tendency of people to want to help those in need. It's common for them to fake injuries or ailments. Their ease and skill in the art of deceit opens the doors for many exploitation opportunities. 5. A psychopath's truth is momentary. As their feelings are shallow, the truths they tell are only momentary verities. For example, they may declare their love for a girlfriend in the heat of passion, but an hour later be in hot pursuit of another woman. Their focus is always on the next temporary pleasure. 6. Psychopaths leave behind trophies of their lies. The cruelty of psychopaths leads them to leave behind tangible proof of their deceit, known as trophies. It's a way of flaunting their lies. For example, if they are having an affair, they might leave a trinket from their girlfriend in a place where they know it will be discovered by their wife. This is a game of catch me if you can. This could also be spending time with one woman while texting another. Living on the edge is a thrill for them. 7. Psychopaths have their own language. Common phrases and statements have a different meaning for psychopaths. For example, "You're my one and only" might mean "You're one of a long line of women who have succumbed to my charm." Likewise, "Trust me" might translate into "What a dope." 8. Psychopaths are masters of denial and minimization. They are glib with denials and minimizations when their lies are discovered. If confronted with their deceit, they quickly accuse their victim of imagining things or exaggerating. Thus, their denials compound the lying. 9. Psychopaths are addicted to deception. People afflicted with this disorder have no desire to stop lying. Their biggest emotional high comes from deceiving a woman who trusts them. Regardless of how much trouble they get into because of their lies, they lack the moral incentive to improve their behavior. 10. Psychopathic liars have certain personality traits. Their habitual lies are part of a personality profile that is indicative of their illness. In addition to the aforementioned manipulative tendency, desire to dominate, and lack of empathy, they are also bored, irresponsible, narcissistic, remorseless, and charming.
I've got my sights set on that one.
The inventor's daughter?
She's the one. The lucky girl I'm going to marry.
But she's...
the most beautiful girl in town.
I know,
that makes her the best. And don't I deserve the best?
Season. Rabbit season. Duck season. Rabbit season. Duck season. Rabbit season. Rabbit season. Duck season. Rabbit season. I say it's duck season, and I say fire.
You threw off my groove.
I'm sorry, but you've thrown off the Emperor's groove.
Yeah, we're with the pet hospital down the street, and I understand you have a dying animal on the premises.
Hello, you've reached the house of unrecognized talent.
That's all, folks.
He might also think about himself most of the time and talk about himself a lot. Crave attention and admiration. Exaggerate his talents and achievements. Believe he's special. Set unrealistic goals. Have wide, fast mood swings. Have a hard time taking others' feelings seriously. Strive to win, whatever it takes. Fantasize about unlimited success, money, and power. Someone like this may appear to have high self-esteem, but the opposite is probably true. There's a deep sense of insecurity underneath that grand exterior. He wants others to be envious, but often he's the jealous one. He's competitive and threatened by others' achievements. His relationships are often stormy and short-lived. He leaves a trail of hurt feelings in his wake. He's easily hurt, but either chooses to not show it or overreacts in rage. He can't stand criticism. He makes excuses and refuses to take responsibility for his flaws and failures. He sees himself as a natural leader who can easily sway others. He doesn't listen and often interrupts. It's a one-way street, all take, no give. Someone can be a narcissist and not have the disorder. For example, Bill Gates has been called a narcissist, but not to the extent that it disrupts his daily life.
First of all, we know that narcissists lie, and to everything I've seen, all narcissists lie. There's straight out exaggerations, there's straight up lies, just complete to your face, look you right in the eye and lie about things that didn't happen, or did happen, they lie that they didn't happen. There are lies, white lies, or exaggerated lies. And there are flat-out, straight-up lies on things that happened, things that didn't happen, and everything in between, whatever that might be. But another thing I'd like to note is, because narcissists live in denial, I often wonder to what extent. I think they know they're lying, they think it's okay in that instance, but they also, I think they have trouble sometimes with gray areas about what's true and what's not true, and then it kind of, if it, whatever the truth is, depends on what people believe, you know, where there's any kind of opinion involved, then or subjectivity, then they will believe whatever benefits them in that moment, and so they think it's true. Now that's convenient, And a lot of probably the commenters will say, oh, but you know, they're clearly just lying. It's all premeditated. And that's possible too. You can tell me. I'm not really sure. I just like to take that into consideration because I've seen them sway back and forth between things where there's a lot of room and they're not anchored. You know, if there's something that anchors them so they have to believe it because it benefits their illusion, they'll believe that their whole lives. You know that. You've seen, if you know a narcissist, you know what they have to believe about themselves. And will always believe, despite all evidence to the contrary, to support that illusion. But at the same time, there's a lot of gray area where if that isn't there, they can sway between something and believe one thing one day, another thing the next day, or both things simultaneously, depending on who they're talking to, in order to actualize that belief. And I don't think they're really aware of that. I think they just do and say whatever they need to get their fix, to get that in that moment. They lie, their lies are systematic. It's to achieve a purpose. It's to make you believe something so that they can manipulate you or get some kind of result, and it benefits them. They know full well what they're doing. So they'll tell you, they may be telling you the truth about redundant things all the time. But with the important things that you don't know, you just assume they're true because they tell you the truth about the redundant things. It's just a human nature thing, and they happen to do it very well, to manipulate it very well. So that's something to take into account as well. So that it'll appear they are pathological people. They have a mental pathology, but their lying is not pathological. It's just a systematic tool. And they have to, it's not just a tool too, it's also just a result of being dysfunctional, because in order to sustain their dysfunctional behavior, they're going to have to lie. You know, that's the whole thing, is a lie. They lie to themselves, they lie to you, and the fact that they lie to you, the fact that they lie to themselves also explains why they lie to you somewhat, because they're not really honest with themselves either. So who can they be honest with? You know, once you have those lies kind of to yourself, it's going to spread out to everybody you know. That sounds kind of New Age spiritual hokey stuff, but it's actually not. I find it very mechanical and very logical in itself.
So today, we're going to talk about handling narcissists. I'm going to give you some tips on emotional self-protection and how to set boundaries in order to just deal with these things called narcissists. Very quickly, I'm going to give you a rundown. 12 steps for handling narcissists. Number 1, identify and admit that there is a problem. You must identify that you're actually dealing with a narcissist or dealing with somebody who has a mental illness. Number 2, you must test to know if you're actually handling a narcissist or not. And the way you test that is just to go inside and ask yourself, does interacting with them make me feel like crap? If it does, they're probably a narcissist. Clarify your present emotion. Learn to come back to how you feel. Number 4, clarify the boundary between you as a sovereign individual entity and between them as a sovereign individual entity. Your problems are not their problems. You are not them. You're two separate beings. Okay? Clarify and fortify the boundary that you will not let people do this to you. That's very important. Be aware they have an agenda, and the agenda doesn't end. It is not stopped by compassion or any kind of human kindness. It never ends. Number 7, physically escape. Get away from them. Where thousands and thousands of mental health professionals with years of experience have failed, you're not going to succeed, okay? So accept that and do your best to physically escape them if you can. Number 8, if you can't physically escape them because you work with them or they're in your family or whatever, then you need to learn psychological tactics that at least allow you to withdraw and detach from the provocations they're going to give you. Accept defeat. Take your ego out of this. You cannot and will not help them. You cannot and will not fix them. They neither wish to be helped or fixed. Number 10, manage your state. You must learn to manage your state and to learn to be feeling good and positive and upbeat. Vulnerability provokes them like nothing else. So if you're vulnerable around them or down around them, they'll pounce. Number 11, They need your pain to feel good. They need you to suffer in order to feel good. Realize that, be aware of that, and watch out. Number 12, do not discuss your personal issues with narcissists. Become an expert at redirecting the conversation in other directions.